It's your boy Akademiks, check it out, because Lil Herb, or G Herb, or whatever you want to call him, he dropped Ballin' Like I'm Kobe. Now, it's been out for a while, but I've been really contemplating and really procrastinating when doing this review, because I've been sitting with it. I've been playing it daily, and I've been really trying to get it, because I don't know, that this tape stopped me in my tracks. Now, here's the thing, because I'm going to read a quote from Lil Herb. He did an interview with Complex, and he kind of explained this tape, because it's been really, it just confused me. And when I mean confused me, it really showed me a different light. Okay, now, first of all, this is what Lil Herb said with Complex. He said, "I don't consider what I do drill music because I'm going over soulful shit. Those aren't drill beats, for one, and I'm talking about my life and what I got going on. Everyday shit, my past, my future, and where I'm at mentally. That's not drill. I can make it, but it's not really the type of artist that I am." Now, let me just say this about Ballin' Like I'm Kobe, and I do say this wholeheartedly with no bias at all. This is not a mixtape. Believe me, it's not a mixtape at all. This is actually a debut album, all right? It was, the tracks, they really represent chapters to a movie. It was kind of like it painted it so vividly, so honestly, and also it didn't just only show particular scenes. It felt like you were actually there when you listen to the tracks, and you got to just completely zone out and listen all the way through, but you get a bunch of flashbacks and flash forwards, introspective raps, ignorant raps, all in moderation. Well balanced, is well worth the wait. Production is amazing, storytelling amazing, substance, lyrics. Maybe the only critique you could possibly have is that there's not a clear club banger, but that wasn't even the focus. But I don't want to get too much to talk about before I get into the tracks, because the tracks are amazing. And let me just start talking about these tracks. Now, the first track is L's. And let me just say this, man. This was so dope, man, because I felt the hurt, and I listened to this track about 50 times back to back, because, man, you feel it. And you know when you connect with the music more than just the words, and you kind of start feeling what the person's talking about when you actually start imagining what's going on. Now, it felt authentic. The sample is amazing. And that's the thing about Lil Herb, man. He kills all these, it's soulful samples that really bring the stories and the picture he's trying to paint to life. And I mean, it's just great. Now, he really shows on the track how his life changed from being normal to kind of spiraling out of control, right, to losing loved ones, right? He said a line that's so dope. He said, "Listen, to rapping, it just found me. Thank God it wasn't when I'm in the county." Okay, obviously referring to, a lot of people go to jail and then they start rapping there. So it's deep, man. And listen, the lyrics aren't subpar. So this is not one of those things where ignore the lyrics. The lyrics are good, but also the message and what he's actually saying is very deep, it's touching, and it's honest. It's honest because he's not trying to make himself look like a Superman. It's honest because he's admitting where he's fucked up. It's honest because he's showing you the other side, the people that he has in jail, the loved ones he lost. And he's being completely honest about that life. A lot of times these rappers do not give you this, and this is so dope. It started it off, and when you listen to this, it sets the tone. If you haven't listened to this mixtape, you must, and actually I'll just refer to an album, you must start with this track. Of course, you got to start with the intro, but this is the intro, right? You have to start with this track. It sets the mood. Now, track 2. Watch Me Ball. Dope ass track, man. It's kind of up tempo. The lyrics are on point. I love this track, okay? Track 3, Bricks and Mansion. And to be honest, man, as a former music producer, if you guys don't know, I used to produce music way back, okay? Way back before. Then I got into DJing. Then after DJing, you don't even know my story. Anyway, pretty much, listen, the sample caught me from the start. And it's almost like Lil Herb, man. He's painting a picture and drawing such a vivid imagery that it's kind of like he's freezing time, and it's almost like a 3D world where you're in and you're looking around, and you could actually see exactly what he's rapping about. This is a rare skill. Not a lot of rappers could do this, or sometimes not a lot of rappers could do this and still get your attention. Okay, he explains his life choices, which is kind of unlike any other drill rapper. They just tell you they're killing niggas. They don't tell you why they're doing it, right? You know what I mean? They're just saying those are the ops and they gotta die, okay? Now, he gives us context to the situation that he was in and the situation that he's in now. And let me tell you, man, we miss that in music, okay? He has great storytelling raps. and it's so dope. I mean, one of the dope lines in this particular song is he said like, "I don't respond to beef with tweets. Street niggas gotta feel me," and he doesn't. You know he doesn't. He's not the nigga that's gonna be on Twitter. That's Twitter beefing. Now, track 4 is definitely a dope track. You can hear the instrumental. It comes in with like it sounds like to me like an old mafia movie almost. You could expect somebody at the table like eating pasta and smoking a cigar. And even though it kind of drowns out the rapping a little bit, it's definitely dope as well. Now, number 5 is a interlude masterpiece talking about like when they used to really do their thing and really just talking about reality raps. They're rapping about what they're currently living and what they've been through. And they're rapping about something that's authentic. Now, track 6. That's a track called Gang in This Bitch. Okay, we all know that's like the popular Chirac phrase. And Little Herb and Little Bibby links up for the first time on this particular tape. It's a very dope song, okay? You know what I mean? Listen, it's a great collab. I like the back and forth rapping. Also like each verse. I mean, Herb takes on a different situation in each verse. And that's what I like about him. He has the ability to lock in on something and paint a picture and kind of takes you there. And to be honest, man, listen to his songs is almost as good as really having an interview with him. You get to know him. You get to kind of connect with his story. And it kind of dawns on me that like, yo, this is a reason why he has such passionate fans, because when you listen to his music, it's not just cookie cutter shit or just like random shit. Like you connect with him. Like you hear his story and you're like, yo, that's my nigga. Now, track 7. It's a storytelling type of track. And he's talking about his family life. And by the way, track 7 is called 100 Days, 100 Nights. I liked how the chorus, even though it was a little bit repetitive, but it made sense, right? It went from 100 days, 100 nights, to 100 days, 200 nights, 100 days, 300 nights. And it was definitely very dope. Okay, he speaks on his family life growing up, speaks on the savages and the hopeless situation that most people who live that life are in, right? You kind of get, I'm telling you, man, yo, you get chills listening to this shit. And as I said, there is no bias. There's no bias. I went into this project really, and I got to let you guys know, I went into it with an open mind, and I did not think it would actually even take me like this, okay? You know what I mean? I've reviewed a lot of tapes, right? And sometimes you listen and you be like, okay, we got a couple good songs here, a couple good songs here, but when you get a cohesive body of work, okay, and for example, I could tell you another cohesive body of work this year. Like, for example, what Kendrick dropped, that was a cohesive body of work that you have to get into. And both this and Kendrick's album, the tracks individually are dope, but when you listen to it in context, it's even more dope. Okay, now, we're going to go on to track 8. That's Peace of Mind. By the way, he's rapping about his demons. And this is probably the most drill-sounding beat so far we've heard on the tape. It's a little bit slowed down, but he's rapping about how he missed out on his family time chasing his dreams, and really just like how they were for his like health and safety, and he really loves his grandmother. And it's another track you could connect with because, you know what I mean, a lot of men, right? A lot of men or young men, right? You know what I mean? If you're in 1920s, 19 or 20-year-olds, or actually it doesn't matter what age you are, man, you probably are very affectionate to your grandmother because your grandmother is probably the person who's been there if you never had a father in the home, or even if you did, your grandmother was always that soft place or held that soft spot in your heart. Okay, track 9. It's a track called Remember, and this was pretty much from 1 to 8. Flames. Okay, now I'm saying you gotta listen in context. Track 9 was the only decent track, okay, and it's still dope, right? It was a change of pace. He's talking about how like all his niggas is locked up, right? He's holding them down. He says some dope shit like he says he's 19 going on 39, okay? And he kind of tells us, man, the real reason why he's doing all this is for his family and for his niggas, man. And you hear that being a constant theme throughout the entire project. Now, track 10, it's a track called Don't Worry. Now, the piano riff, okay? Listen, the instrumental when it leads in, right? And that's why it's important for, like, a lot of these rappers who are trying to create albums. It's not only just, let's get Young Chop on the beat, let's go get Southside, let's get Metro Boomin. Like, you want something to be kind of almost, like, cinematic, theatrical a little bit. Not every fucking song, but you want something where you could at least set the mood, unless you're just really just trying to make cookie-cutter music, okay? And the piano riff kind of did it for me. Bibby came in, by the way, shout out to Bibby again. He's back on the track. He spit a very dope verse, and to be honest, man, they're kind of resembling like D Wade and LeBron like a few years ago. Very solid track. Now, track 11 is East Side, very soulful beat. This sounds like the track is kind of meant for a movie, man. His album. You see how we're talking about this like Chirac movie that Spike Lee's doing? His album could have been the soundtrack. The East Side song actually sounds like a movie soundtrack type of song, okay? And he also reminds us that he's not even 21 yet, which tells you the level of excellence that he's really creating music on. Salute to this man. Now, track 12, No Limit. It's a dedication to his gang, right? He brings us back to a time, I think he says '08, when they were heating up the city. His mom was sweating him because she don't know what's going on. She probably thinks she's about to get clapped, turned into a pack, be on a t-shirt, you know what I mean? RP, going to be like G Herboland or something like that. And basically, he kind of shows how he was navigating. You can't be lacking. Okay, he's avoiding the police and he's rolling with a bunch of niggas because the ops on their heels, okay? Now, track 13 is a track called Struggle, and he's rapping about the struggle. It's kind of self-explanatory, definitely dope. You hear angelic sound kind of in the background, and it kind of paints the picture and sets the whole like theme for what he's actually coming from, and you can now reflect to where he's at now, right? Track 14 is a track called Pain, another self-explanatory track. I mean, he took him to church, man. It felt like, the feature, by the way, did a really good job. Really amazing job. And once you hear the track, it kind of all fits in. But this one was definitely one that he just took him to church. Track 15. Okay, it's a track called Rollin'. It's produced by Southside. It's a little bit of change of pace, but it's dope as fuck. Herb is spitting like a motherfucker, man. And if you read more into his interview that he did with Complex, he lists his inspiration, right, as many like East Coast rappers, like his rappers that inspired him, a lot of East Coast rappers, and you could tell that the lyricism and him trying to be lyrical while still telling the story or not trying to really cut corners, it definitely exists. And you could also tell, because a lot of people were waiting for Ballin' Like I'm Kobe for a while, and when it came out, you could tell that he really took his time with this. Right? I don't know if people really appreciate it, but he took his time with this. Track 16, which is the last track on the tape, it's called Ain't Right. It's the last track, man, and definitely fucking fire. Lil Herb and Lil Durk, they connected. This is a good collab. Lil Durk, of course, was on the hook, and I wish he had a verse, but he was definitely holding down on the hook. So definitely, man, I thought it was a good finish to a album, and I'm going to call it album again, that started out really strong. I mean, the intro could have been a little bit more cinematic, but it's okay. And because of that, man, just wrapping it all up, this was, as I said, this is not a mixtape. In my eyes, this is not a mixtape. This is a debut album. And even if he says it's a mixtape, this is an introductory, and maybe this would be the Section 80 for Kendrick. And I'm not equating them as in quality-wise, but just like how people kind of recognize Section 80 as Kendrick's initial album, this is Lil Herb's initial album, okay? This is that first album, and it's very dope. And if I had to really give it a rating, and you might be shocked by this, but you shouldn't be if you've been listening all this time, really, this is an album that gets a 4.5 out of 5. That's a 90. I believe the only person I gave a 90 this year has been Kendrick and To Pimp a Butterfly. And I believe Lil Herb definitely earns this as well, because the substance is there. I could tell. And that's why I sat with this for so long, right? I wanted to see, like, maybe I'll be over it after like a couple of weeks and people stop tweeting about it. No, I wasn't. But I could tell I'll be playing this in a year or two. And that's the reason why I feel it's deserving of that rating. You guys get in the comment box, man. Do you guys agree? Disagree? It's definitely the best drill project of the year. Get in the comment box. And that's if we're going to consider it drill, because he said it's not drill, but it's very dope. But if we're going to put in the drill category, it's definitely the best if we're going to put it there. It's your boy, Akademiks. Get in the comment box. Make sure you guys like, definitely subscribe. I'm out.